Well, hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the documentary about the unique artistic design of the Canadian Premier League trophies. I'm Asa Raymond. I'm happy to be joined by the man who took home three of those beautiful pieces of art, winner of the Golden Boots, the best U21 Canadian, and the CPL Player of the Year, former Forge FC forward, currently in Belgium with OH Leuven, Tristan Borges. So welcome, Tristan.
Nice to be here. Nice to be here.
Yeah, last time I saw you, I was at the CPL award ceremony itself. You were juggling those three heavy awards. Did you get them home safely? And where did you display them when you got them home?
I did. I did. It was definitely an amazing day for myself. Right when I got home, it was because when I went with a close friend of mine. Right, so that was just getting home. That was the first time that my family saw it. Right, so just put it across the table. I think I'm not the biggest person for social media, but I'm pretty sure I posted something on my story that day, just of them three. And my family is very proud of me. So in my basement, it's put up nice
Nice.
in a good spot, just for us to always kind of be reminded of the year that I had. So it's nice.
It was quite the year. Is there one award that stands out as maybe the sweetest for you?
Well, if I have to look at winning something, it's definitely the championship with the team. For me, that's the most important one, right? But when it comes to the award, I think it's obviously MVP. There was a lot of good candidates there, right? So playing with great players that year, and I love it, everybody trying to show what they could do, and a lot of players having great years, with goals, assists, and even if it wasn't just having all the stats, you could see a lot of players had a lot of quality in games, making it difficult to play against. So if I had to pick one out of those three, it would probably be MVP.
What about the design of these trophies? Anything stand out to you about how they look, they feel? Something that makes you proud to be a Canadian to own these three awards?
Yeah, I think it just being unique. I don't think when you think of getting an award, especially in sports, I don't think that's your first idea to look at it. But us, finally getting this league a part of Canada, and making your like just showing how important it is, and it being unique like that, and just being very different just makes it special, in my opinion. Having it inside the house, when you look at it, like I said, it's not kind of like an everyday award that you look at that maybe shines in the room, or something that's silver, something that's gold, right? But I think it having that unique kind of part to it, it just makes it more special.
You mentioned winning the championship with Forge, which is probably the greatest accomplishment of that year. What stands out about that year and that championship run?
For me, it's just being with the guys throughout that whole process. There was a lot of ups and downs in the whole year. For me, I'm a very big person when it comes to kind of falling in love with the grind, right? It's
Right.
the moment is very, very special itself. Just I think everybody knows that moment. Once we scored that goal, everybody's running down the field, right? But for me, it's just you look back at all the ups and downs that we had. I think there was so much talk before the league started about our team, and everybody kind of said, okay, how well are they going to do? And we had a lot of games that we should have got results, and we didn't. But you can see the maturity level in the group that we had. We had, in my opinion, the best captain in the league. For me, like I said before, should have been the MVP, right? But what he did with our group in terms of bringing it together, we had a lot of young guys, a lot of guys with their first professional season ever, right? So it took a lot for us to get all the way there. Going through the bumps that we did, and I think it was that's the best way to cap it off. The way we won it. So for me, it's the whole year. It's the whole year.
Yeah, after that amazing year, you end up signing with OH Leuven. What was that like? That process like? When did you find out? How did you find out?
Everything kind of moved pretty fast, to be honest. I mean, once the league was done, I'm pretty sure everybody knew. There was always just talk. Okay, Tristan, are you going to stay? Are you going to go? And for me, it was just already focusing on to next year. Just keeping a good relationship with the guys, and just staying connected with them. But yeah, everything kind of happened pretty fast. First contact was around Christmas, and then during Christmas and New Year's, it's always a difficult time to kind of get things going. Everybody's with their families, and things like that. But yeah, it happened pretty fast. Same thing with the national team. So everything was kind of bunched in together,
Yeah.
and I ended up going a little bit late to the second part of the season, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was just about, them trusting in what I could do. And, I ended up being very fit when I went. So I did as much as I could in the off season. So I kind of just jumped into the season when they were going, and I kind of just fit in, and things went well after that.
Were there any other teams that you were considering, or even considering returning to Forge?
Uh, Returning to Forge was always in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, just coming back to this, playing in the CPL, it was definitely a thought that I made, and I wanted to be part of something special. And just looking at what we did the first year, I wanted to come back, and try to do it again the second year. There was a few interests from the MLS clubs. I think Montreal was one of them, and at the end of the day, it was going to be my decision. But just making the decision to come here in Belgium, there's a lot of great talk about this club. It's a
Mm.
great club since I've been here. The past couple of months, it's been rough for everybody, right? So, but yeah, no, since I've been here, it's been amazing, and I'm glad I made the decision.
Yeah. Leagues have shut down, or were shut down around the world. Some are restarting now. Where were you with the club before things were halted?
Things were going well. Things were going well. When I first got here, the first week, I had to get kind of more of the paperwork and everything in. So I sat down and watched the first game. So I watched it from the sidelines. I was watching it from up top, and then since I got onto the bench, I came on, I think, 4 games. One game I didn't, and then the last game I started. So, for me, if I were to look at it, I would say that's every player always wants to start, but at the end of the day, for me, coming off of 2 months of off season, basically, and
Mhm.
everybody's already in shape, and kind of mid season flow, right, and to come in and come off the bench 4 times, for him to trust me to come off the
Yeah.
bench and to start the last game was big. I didn't end up being on the bench the first leg of the finals. A coach's decision, just with kind of being experienced and a lot of things at stake for that game, right? This is the biggest games for our club history, right? So, but yeah, now we're working towards the second finals on August 2nd, and just since I've been there, it's been up and down because of the pandemic, right? But at the
Right.
end of the day, everybody's going through it. But when it comes to being on the field, it's been a progress every day.
And you played in that game on the right side as a wingback in a 3-5-2. What was that experience like?
It was different, but a little similar at the same time. Like I said, the last year, when I was with Henan Fane, there was a few moments I had playing a left back, a few games, just because of how the roster was shifting out. We were losing a little bit more defensive players, and I can say I have a little bit more of that edge to my game when it comes to having that aggression. And being here, the Belgian kind of league is an aggressive league, right? So, yeah, I spoke with the coach before the game that it could have been a possibility, right? And it ended up working out that I felt comfortable at the same time. For me, it's if as long as I'm on the field, I'm happy, right? The coach puts me in, and I got to do what I have to do, right? But
Yeah.
it wasn't something that I was completely shocked at. I already had it in my mind a little bit, and at the end of the day, I just got on the field, and you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, you mentioned you had MLS options. One of them I understand to be the Montreal Impact, which is where Joel Waterman ended up. Do you regret that at all? Where do you think what happened with Montreal, and why not the MLS?
No, I'm happy with my decision. The MLS is a great league. Obviously, it's a great league for a lot of players to go to from the CPL. And for me, it was just making that step to Europe again
Mm.
was a decision that I had to make. Right at the end of the day, I felt comfortable just because I've already been there. Belgium and Holland is very similar, right? So just coming back here, and everybody speaking English, speaking Dutch, and speaking French, it's basically kind of a comfortable place that I can trust here, right? So
Yeah.
it was a decision that I spoke with my family about. I really thought about it, in terms of what I wanted to do for the next season. But just about hearing a lot of great things about this club made the decision a little bit easier. Also knowing with Montreal is also a great club, but at the end of the day, player has to make a decision if they want to play a few
Yeah.
years in Belgium, if they want to stay in Europe, right? And I decided to make that decision. So I'm happy with that decision. And I'm a big person that believes that everything happens for a reason, right?
Mhm.
So we'll see how it goes here.
Yeah, speaking of making the move to Europe, Emilio Estevez joined Ado Den Haag in the offseason as well. Who do you think is the next player to make the move to Europe?
Whew. Uh, there's a lot of great players. There's a lot of great players, to be honest. There's a lot of good players that had great seasons. I think Taryn had a great season too. Bustos is a great player, right? He
Yeah.
played very good last year. Now he made the move to go to a different team. You know, I have a lot of great players that play with me at Forge. Just players that need a chance to shine, right? At the end of the day, right? So, oh, if I had to pick some players, you know, I have to go. I have to go with my guys. With my guys, you know, depending on. I hope they have a great year. You know, all of them. But just kind of looking at the qualities that I can see that they had like on the pitch, as long as they get the chance and you know they continue to prove themselves. You know, I have to go with him because he's at a young age with me. I'm going to say Marcel Zajac.
Yeah. Were you
At the
surprised to hear that Emilio got on in the Eredivisie with Ado Den Haag?
Not really, not really. I mean, a lot of people will be surprised just because you know it's a first division club and how everything's going. And at the end of the day, people are always going to ask questions, right? But I think um, once players kind of take that step and they choose to come to Europe and they trust in their abilities, you can see that it's very possible for a lot of Canadians to come. And I've already made that step before coming here when I was in Holland, and just me coming back at the end of the day was my choice. But I can strongly say that there's been a lot of players that I played with back at home that I know if you know if they decide to make the choice and they get the opportunity, because that's the biggest thing is having stuff under your belt. You know, the CPL is a great platform to showcase what you can do, and then just it's a perfect example with him, right? There
Yeah.
will be clubs that will have interest in you.
Oh, he's seen Atiba Hutchinson make the most of his opportunity in Turkey
Exactly.
with
Yeah.
Besiktas. I want to know your thoughts on whether or not you think there's a stigma around Canadian players, and maybe there's a hesitancy to sign Canadian players, but maybe if that's changing now with Alfonso Davies.
Yeah, no, I think any young Canadian player can appreciate what he's doing for us, to be
Yeah,
honest with you. And I'm saying young, and I'm pretty sure he's even younger than me, right? So, but what he's doing is amazing just for all Canadian youth athletes, even Canadians that are already playing pro already in the CPL, because it just gives confidence to all of us, right? It just gives us the confidence in our own abilities to show, if he can be doing it at one of the biggest clubs in the world, a club that we look at on TV, Champions League, this, that, with the best players in the world, right? It's definitely possible. It's
yeah.
definitely possible, right? And I think it's huge what he's doing. Honestly, I think every player will say the same thing. It's for me, it's trying to follow those footsteps, just playing in Europe. Just trying to make a name for myself. And at the end of the day, every player has their own path. But just him doing that just really shows at a young age it's possible.
You mentioned your time at Herenveen in Holland. Do you feel like it was an uphill battle because you were Canadian?
A little bit, a
You
little
seen that
bit,
way?
a little
Yeah.
bit, right? I think just always having a little bit of that chip on my shoulder, just because I'm not European, right? But a lot of people always ask me questions about it, family members, and for me, it's a learning experience. Like I think I wouldn't be the player that I am now if I didn't have that experience in Hedenfeen. Having that, different mentality, playing in Europe those few years gives me a different perspective of the game, tactics wise and technically, right? So, no, I think it was always a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, but for me to look at it the first time going there at that age, I think it was a success. Unfortunately, I didn't crack the first team. It was a little bit in and out, in and out, in and out. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I made the decision to come home, and it ended up being great. So
Mhm. On one of our recent shows, Bill Manning had mentioned that while you were at TFC's academy, you noticed that you always wanted to go to Europe, dreams of going to Europe. You were there, came back, and now you're there again. What does that mean to you?
it's it's very important for me. It's very important for me. But the way I kind of look at it is, I'm just very happy that we have that league back in Canada. I'm very, very happy, and for me to be a part of that first year was amazing. But as a young kid, I don't know if it's the same for every
Mhm.
young athlete kind of growing up, or a young soccer player growing up in Canada. It's always in the back of your mind, to play in Europe, right? And at that young age, I made the decision that okay, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to see if I can play professional. I was with TFC for a little stint, but in the back of my mind, it was if I had an opportunity in Europe to go, it's a decision that I would make. My family was behind me. My family was fully supportive on me and on me making that decision. And, me having another opportunity now, just trying to make the most of it.
What's the culture like over there? What's your day to day? How much soccer are you taking in within 24 hours?
Very different than what a normal day when I had back in Hamilton. And kind of what I mean by that is just,
Yeah,
with Hamilton, I'm at home, right? So Hamilton was about 45 minutes away from my house. So it was a long drive there, kind of a long day, and then a long drive home in traffic and stuff like that. But at the end of the night, maybe go see a friend, stay with friends. But here it's when you make that move, you have to understand kind of the commitment, right? Early mornings, sometimes two a days. If it's two a days, you stay there at the club. We have a meal together as a team, and then treatment. We have a big physio staff here. There's about 4 or 5, so there's constant treatments if you need, and just working on yourself after the
yeah,
second training, ice bath. It's a big commitment at the end of the day. Anybody that plays pro soccer knows that it's your job basically, right? And you have to look at it like that because you got to take care of your body as much as you can. And even when I'm coming home, I have to make dinner. I got to make my meal for myself, and I'm always in contact with my family every day. So that's at least about an hour. Speak with my mom, my dad, a few of
nice.
my good friends, and at the end of the night, maybe just relax, maybe play a little bit of PlayStation, watch a movie, and then get ready for the next day. Right?
Yeah,
That's
young
kind of a
people.
normal.
What are you playing these days?
I've been playing a little bit of Call of Duty. I'm not the biggest PlayStation guy, to be honest, but
Okay,
because of all this going on right now, there's been a little bit more time on my hands, so I've been
there you
playing
go.
a little bit PlayStation. That's kind of the only game that I really play, and not to brag, but I'm pretty good at it.
That's all
Not
right.
to brag.
Well done. This is your opportunity to brag. Yeah, go for it. It's been an opportunity the last few months for players to speak out for positive change, fighting against racial injustice. For the most parts, and there's been some good stories coming out recently, especially from athletes. Manchester United's Marcus Rashford campaigned, raised funds for free food for over 1 million kids in the UK. What would you like to see change? What sort of positive influence would you like to make on some younger kids? And what are you doing to make that change?
Yeah, I mean, we all can see what's happening in the world, right? I think there's a lot of things I can say. There's a lot of opinions that everybody has about the situation, and for me, I think a big step for us to improve on it is everybody coming together and doing something. Just recognizing the situation, not pushing it away, and just seeing what you can do, to help. Everybody has their own lives. Some people make excuses, with being busy and stuff. But at the end of the day, there's always something that people can do to help, and to join in the situation and to come together. Because in my opinion, I think that's the only way that we can make any progress with this is coming together. And me just being here and trying to stay on point with what's happening
Yeah,
back at home and especially in the States. Just coming home, I was just recently home for 3 weeks. So the first 2 weeks I had to go in quarantine, so I was in quarantine. But um, I was a little bit lucky on how it happened. The last week that I was there ended up being the peaceful protest downtown Toronto that was actually organized by one of my best friend's older brother, who's very close to me. I've known him for a lot of years. And it's crazy because it started something so small, just a walk between, I would say, maybe 50 to 100 people. But you can see everybody coming together, and it ended up being an amazing peaceful protest. Ended up being, I think, maybe a couple thousand people downtown. And me being a part of that, I ended up going with a few of my friends. We were all keeping our distance from each other. Nobody was in. I mean, I could talk about myself. I was keeping my distance with everybody, but you could just see everybody coming together downtown. Even the police. There was police that got down on one knee with us at one point. It was definitely something amazing to see.
yeah,
Just the first couple minutes, honestly, like when I had to look around and see at how many people were there, it put a big smile on my face, just to
yeah.
see that everybody came together for something like that. And I think that's the first step to it coming
Yeah.
together. So
Appreciate that. Appreciate you sharing that story. It does make a difference for everyone that's watching. You're an inspiration. So appreciate all the work you're doing. Thank you for your time as well, Tristan. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining us today.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
All right, for Tristan Borges, producer Lucas Sheffield, technical director Armin Badakian, I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to encourage everyone as well to have those difficult conversations at home about racism and racial injustice. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our One Soccer YouTube channel. Have a good one. Take care.